What's up, guys? As you know, every single year I do a little draft recap. So, because I'm the fantasy guru and my teams are always the best and your guys always suck. So, I figured we do a little recap, have a little fun before the season starts. I know it starts on Wednesday, if I'm correct. So, let's get started. The first round went normal. You got McCoy, Rice, and Foster. But then Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady went back to back. It's a little odd in a 12-team league, taking that QB. We'll see how those teams end up. The only other two things that in the first round that were a little odd was that Ricky took Adrian Peterson over players like Darren McFadden, and then Derek he ended up taking Greg Jennings 11th. That was a little odd. He took him over Forte and McFadden. I don't know about that, Derek. I think that was a big misstep. But the second round went pretty straightforward. Dan took MJD at 16. Everybody thought that was a reach, but he just came in today, and by week 3 he'll probably be back to his 20 touches. So that's going to end up as a good pick. When he called me, he wanted to take Gronk, but I ended up getting him not to. But that's going to work out for you, Dan. And the second round pretty went normal, except Cam Newton went a little early to Breeze nuts. My brother, but my brother thinks he knows everything, as you could tell in the draft when he was causing problems. But we'll see how that turns out. Third round went kind of normal. Jordy Nelson might have been the reach by Dan. Took him over Julio Jones and Ryan Matthews. Round 4, Darren Sproles went a little early to Dan again. I don't know, Dan. You're reaching a little bit. Let's see. Everything kind of went no. Aaron Hernandez went in the 4th round to my brother. That's my boy, but I don't know if that's a little early for him. Round 5, Stephen Ridley went, Beanie Wells. I mean, at that point, everybody's just taking those running backs in a 12-team league. You're going to be screwed. Round 6, Demarius Thomas went. I don't know about him, even with Peyton, but he's got talent. Robert Meacham is probably going to fall on his face like usual. But everything seemed normal. I mean, those were the first couple of rounds. I mean, I usually only discuss the first couple of rounds because later on, who really cares? I mean, that's when you're trying to fill out your team. But yeah, I don't know about the QBs going in the first round that early. I don't know about Derek taking Greg Jennings. I don't know about Ricky taking AP. MJD ended up working out. Well, is going to work out as long as he doesn't pull a Chris Johnson from last year. But even so, Dan needed a running back. So. But let's take a look at the teams. We'll start with me and Kristen's because we're the best as usual. Our starting lineup is pretty good. I mean, we got Chris Johnson, Rob Bradshaw at running back. We got Jimmy Graham at tight end. We got Mike Wallace, Torrey Smith, and Brandon Lloyd as wide receivers and flex. We got Matty Ice as our Q, and then we got Peyton Hillis and Sidney Rice on our bench. Steven Goskowski, Houston D. Very solid team. Like most teams, if a guy goes down, we're in trouble. But our starting lineup, if they do what they're supposed to do, we should be competing pretty good. And we got back in time with Dan, took a Drew Brees at 9, and then he took MJD, then Nelson, then Sproles, then Decker, then Harvin, then David Wilson. As you can see, his running backs are brutal after MJD. He doesn't have, I mean, I guess Darren Sproles is a solid guy in a PPR, but, I don't know, maybe Ingram's going to get the ball a little more. That's why I don't like taking those QBs early. I mean, he could have had Forte and McFadden, and then to go with MJD, and then still he ended up getting Joe Flacco later on. Joe Flacco could be a starter. There's no need, is that going to be that huge difference? He could have Drew Brees and then his lineup, or he could have Flacco with Matt Forte and McFadden. Who's going to get more points, Flacco and McFadden, Flacco and Forte, or Brees and David Wilson, the backup from the Giants? Questionable. Then we got two dudes, no chicks. That's Ant and Jay. Take off Forte and McFadden. Can you get anything better than that? That's why having those last picks in a 12-team league is awesome. I mean, you can't get better than that. Then they took Matthews, who's going to be a starter by week 2, week 3. It's a stud pick. Des Bryant, Deshaun Jackson at rounds 4 and 5. In the PPR league, I don't like Deshaun that much, but I mean, he does get those 1,000 yards and those 50-yard passes, so it could work out. Romo's a starter. After Anthony was bashing Ricky for taking Romo, now that's their starter. But, Romo, he's got weapons. He should put up decent numbers. Kenny Britt, Cedric Benson, Mike Williams from Tampa. Very solid. They got the Steelers D. What's up, Ange? You can't be too happy with that. But they definitely got a solid team. I mean, they got McFadden, Matthews, Forte, and Cedric Benson. That's 4 starters. Benson's probably never going to see the field for them. But they can always flex Matthews at the flex spot. So those three, that's a sick three-headed monster. They're going to be one of the better teams in a 12-team league. When you can get those three stud running backs, that's insane. I don't know how that even happened for them. Broke pitch, my cousin Steven. Went with Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford 1-2. He must have had a plan. Once he got Calvin, he was getting Stafford at 18 no matter what. I personally, am not a big fan of the whole QB wide receiver matchup because if they go against a tough D, then they're going to both get shut down. They're going to lose, and but based on the numbers last year, it's a solid pick. Frank Gore was their first running back taken, and then Reggie Bush. See, again, you take the quarterback early, you get stuck with running back. I mean, his running back core is Frank Gore, Reggie Bush, Sean Green, Daniel Thomas, LeGarrette Blount. That is pretty brutal. Basically, he doesn't even have a number one because Frank Gore. Does anybody really think he's gonna be the guy this year to get 20 catches? 20 carries a game. I personally don't. Peyton Manning's his backup. That's a very good backup to have. If Stafford goes down, which he probably will at some point, very good. Reggie Wayne as his number 2 wide receiver. He should have a good year. I like it. Owen Dean my brother's boy. Tight end. I don't know if Owen's gonna be. They got I think what is his name, Casey there or something. But it's a decent team. I just don't think the running back is gonna help him. He doesn't have a flex running back either. So I think my cousin Steve's gonna be a little bit of trouble. Team Randall, Derek. This is the Greg Jennings pick. I don't know, Derek. I I really don't know, man. We'll see how it works out for you. But then he got Marshawn Lynch and Michael Turner and Trent Richardson. Bang, bang, bang. Lynch, is he going to have another career year? We shall see. Michael Turner is probably going to fall on his face this year because they're going to be playing an up-tempo system. I just don't see Turner doing anything. Trent Richardson, question mark. That offensive line's brutal. That team's brutal. Is he going to get the ball? Eli Manning, my team name is Who Stole Eli's Bicycle, or We Stole Eli's Bicycle, so he should be on our team, but that's a very solid pick. Antonio Brown was a very good one. Titus Young, Justin Blackman. He got some good young wide receivers, but those are his starters, so his number 1 wide receiver, Greg Jennings, and then he's got Brown, Titus Young. I don't know. Brown is a decent 2, I guess, but Pettigrew is starting to tight end. I like Pettigrew this year, but yeah, I don't like Derek's running backs, and I don't think his team's going to be that good, but you don't know. Barack Stable, my cousin Anthony, I think. Took Tom Brady at 5, then he went Roddy White, Brandon Marshall, so he had his QB and wide receivers, bang, bang, bang. His running backs are Willis McGahee and Stephen Ridley. Stephen Ridley is his starting running back. He is in trouble. That's just not a... I love Ridley. I think he's a solid player, but you know how the Patriots do with their running backs. They're a throwing team, and I just don't see Ridley doing very much this year. He'll probably have the best year out of all the players of Vereen and Bolden, but I just don't think he is a good number 2 to have. But maybe Brady offsets those points. Then he's got Santonio Holmes, Isaac Rusman. He got Jason Witten as a tight end, and he also drafted Jared Cook. I like Jared Cook more than Witten. He took Cook after Witten, but it's trade bait too. So this team, he's got 2 studs. He's got Tom Brady and Roddy White. I guess Brandon Marshall could be considered a stud. After that, this team's a little subpar. You got big ass TDs. Oh, TDs. Oh my God, Kristen, you did not see that. Arian Foster at 3, very good. Then you got Jamal Charles, which is 6. So his 2 running backs are probably after 2 dudes, no chicks. That's pretty sick. Ricky Page did a good job. Then he got Victor Cruz, Miles Austin, bang bang. So he's already got a 4-headed monster. That's pretty good. Miles Austin is solid, number 2. Then he went Beanie Wells, Jamaica Finley, who I love this year as a tight end. He's one of the best, and he got hurt last year. Matt Schaub starting QB, can't get better than that in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He got his QB in round 7, when everybody else is taking Brady Rodgers in round 1. He got a solid guy in round 7 while taking Arian Foster and Jamal Charles. So that's very good drafting. So his team's very good. You got a win as a win. Taking Larry Fitz at 8. I don't know about Larry Fitz this year. They got no QB. He is a stud, but I don't know. Then they went Gronk. I think this is Chris's team. Me and Chris wanted Gronk. We ended up with Jimmy Graham. Can't complain either one, I guess. But I'd say Chris took Gronk over Graham, which I don't get because in a PPR league, even if it's 0.5, Graham is probably more valuable. Then you got Steven Jackson, Dwayne Bowe, very good. So Chris got his starting running back, but then he took Jonathan Stewart, and he's got Ben Tate, so he doesn't have a second running back. I think that is going to play a lot of trouble for Chris this year. So he's got a decent one in Jackson, but he does not have a number 2. And he ended up getting, let's see, Big Ben as his starting quarterback. Not bad, not great, but he'll do what he does. But without that number 2 guy, I don't know. And Dwayne Bowe's is number 2 wide receiver, and then he's got Stevie Jones, so at least he can flex a wide receiver. But yeah, I don't like that number 2 running back, and which means he doesn't have a number 3, which can cause problems. So he might be looking to trade Gronk at some point. We got Jerry's Kids Crocker. His team looks very good. He got LaShawn at number 1. He could have taken Ray Rice for Aaron Foss, but either or, He got Fred Jackson for number 2 running back, very good, PPR league. Then he went Walker, Gates, Phillip Rivers. That's a very solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then he took Meacham, who I don't like, but he ended up getting Pierre Garçon, who I like even more with the next pick. So that's very solid. You got Luck later on, to back up Rivers. You got Mendenhall and Felix Jones to, back up his guys. Not too bad. I like with his 1-2 running back punch, and then his starting wide receiver Welker, and then Gates and Rivers. It's a solid starting lineup. Then we have, let's see, Breeze Nuts, my brother, Ray Rice at number 2, great pick. Then he went Cam Newton, a little off the board. I think he's still a little early. Then next, Aaron Hernandez, Vincent Jackson, Kevin Smith, Macklin. Those are good picks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks in. My brother has a solid team. Michael Bush, good backup. Robert Griffin III, backup QB. My brother's team's solid. His second running back is Kevin Smith. Is he going to be the guy all year? Don't know. Aaron Hernandez, tight end, solid. Hakeem Nicks and Vincent Jackson, 1-2 wide receiver. Solid team. Then we got Team Mastro, took AP. Like I said, it's a little sketchy over Forte and McFadden, with AP probably not going to be number 1 in terms of carries to start, but that's no big deal. I mean, by week 4, week 5, he'll be back to his normal self. Andre Johnson, then Julio Jones at 2, 3. Then he went Marquise Colston, which was, I don't know, maybe he could have got somebody else. What round was this? This was 1, 2, 3, 4. He took Marquise Colston. There were running backs such as Sproles available, McGahee. He might have been able to take one of those guys. Then he went Vic, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. So Green Ellis is his number 2 running back behind AP. In a PPR league, I don't know about that, but he'll probably get his 20 carries. Tony Gonzalez, Bolden, Alfred Morris, Cutler, Toby Gay, he got it cut off. Then Randy Moss. So, it's an okay team. I'm not sold on Ricky's team, but he's got a couple of guys that could have really good years, or guys like AP, Andre Johnson, Michael Vick, who are injury prone, that could get, hurt and kill him. And then we got, remember the tight ends, Jordan. Went Aaron Rodgers, number 1, and then his team fell apart. What was Jordan thinking? We never know. In a league last year, he took Roddy White at like number 2, I think. So, yeah, Jordan went Aaron Rodgers 1, and then he went DeMarco Murray, A.J. Green, Steve Smith, Doug Martin, D'Angelo Williams, Vernon Davis. So he's got DeMarco Murray and Doug Martin, D'Angelo Williams as his 1, 2, 3 running backs. I don't know, his wide receiver core, A.J. Green, then Steve Smith, Nate Washington. I don't know, Jordan. I don't see. This is what happens when you pick that QB early. I'm against it, but hey, maybe that offsets the points. We'll have to see how it works out, because he's gonna be the number 1 QB. But is that going to offset when you could have gotten a top running back like Chris Johnson or something? So that's a quick recap on the teams. Like I said, some of the teams are pretty bad. That's a 12-team league. Some of the teams are really good, like 2 dudes, no chicks. Then we have teams that have good starters, like me and Kristen's. But if we have an injury, then what are we gonna do? We're gonna be in trouble. But that's probably like most teams. But then you got big ass touchdowns, very solid team. So there's some really good teams, and there's some really bad teams, and there's some decent teams. A 12-team league, it's really difficult. I think people had some trouble drafting. I know that me and Chris had a couple spots that we weren't sure what to do. But yeah, 12-team leagues are fun because it's challenging, and then you could always go on the waiver wire and make trades and stuff. So let's have a fun year. A lot of trash talking. Remember that there's a young girl in this league, so keep the language a little bit. She'll be doing her own trash talking too, so get ready for that. So the Champions League starts on Wednesday. If there's any questions, any issues with score and everything, let me know. But everything seems straightforward. So yeah, let's have fun. Let's trash talk. And me and Kristen's team is gonna kick everybody's butt like usual. Heard it here first.